I'm not proud of it, but let me make a confession to you. I've only truly hated one person in my entire life. Now let me explain. Many years ago, I was a struggling graduate student with a wife and 3 children. I found it necessary to work just to make ends meet. I worked nights as a personal trainer at a local health spa. It was really fun, but the hours were killer and I needed to make more money. I found a job as a house painter working for another grad student who told me that he would pay me $10 an hour. He bid the jobs and I did the work. It was hard, dirty work, but our little family needed the money. All went well for the first couple of jobs, but after the 3rd house, he gave me a check for only about 1/2 of the amount that he owed me. I was confused, and when I asked him about it, he snickered and said that his bid had been a little bit low and he hadn't made as much money as he wanted on the job. I said that was a shame, but I worked for him, not for the homeowner, and I'd done all the work that he had asked. He chuckled again and said, "Well, that's all that I can spare." I fumed all the way home. I felt so cheated and betrayed. I was being penalized for his blunder. I called and asked him to reconsider, and he just said he needed to make his money too. My disgust quickly turned to hate. I called him back and quit. I nursed my grudge and found that everywhere I went, every time I turned around, there was, I'll call him Joe, there he was in my face. It was like he was chained to me and I was just so miserable. Finally, one day I ran into Joe. I had just had to get rid of my toxic feelings. So I said, "Joe, I want you to know that I forgive you and I ask that you forgive me." He looked puzzled and says, "You forgive me? Forgive me for what?" I could tell he wasn't even aware of the hurt that he had caused me. Oh well, but something strange, almost magical happened. I felt freer, lighter, happier. It was as if the chain had been cut. Interestingly, after that, I almost never ran into Joe. And when I did, it was just with a pleasant greeting. I got my life back. I learned a great deal from that experience. Number 1, the person who offends you often doesn't even know or care. And number 2, you're the one that suffers from a grudge and is freed by forgiving. Some people love nursing a grudge, being a victim, or even wallowing in self-pity. It's just part of their identity. Buddha said holding on to anger is like grasping a hot coal with the intent of throwing it at someone else. You are the one that gets burned. Forgiving doesn't just make you feel better. It's actually good for your health. A number of research studies, including one from Duke University Medical Center, have found that people who let go of a grudge and forgive experienced a decrease in anxiety, depression, hostility, blood pressure, back pain, stomach problems, headaches, and even a lower risk of substance abuse. They also found that forgivers had healthier relationships and even tended to live longer. Now, I'll be the first to acknowledge that forgiving is easier said than done. Famous philosopher C.S. Lewis accurately noted that everyone says forgiveness is a lovely idea until they have something to forgive. From my personal experience, it requires an actual decision without any conditions to not dwell on injustices, to let go of resentment and desires for revenge. So forgive others. You'll be healthier, happier, and possibly even live longer.